Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Laura Prada from the Telesur Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The president of the FARC movement has accused the Colombian government of concentrating its efforts on foreign policy towards Venezuela to distract from its problems at home.
We cannot forget how the situation in Colombia prompted the signing of the peace accord of the CELAC summit to bring peace to Latin America. These are anti-patriotic decisions by the Colombian president and all that support him. Colombia wants to attack Venezuela. It's necessary to stand by the Venezuelan people and the government. The aggression it faces cannot be justified.
On the other hand, the Colombian Peace Commission has called for the National Liberation Army to turn and cease hostilities for Christmas.
The Commission urged the ELN to declare a ceasefire and stop ongoing hostilities. The Commission also calls on the ELN to account for the 14 abducted people who are part of the demands for peace to be reached. The Commission urges the government to continue a dialogue to bring the ELN to the table.
Also in Colombia, the battle in defense of public education continues following more than 70 days of strike actions. Demonstrators have reached an agreement with President Iván Duque, who has pledged a budget of $1.4 billion at the creation of a third institution of the University of Valle in the department of Valle del Cauca.
Having the freedom to use the resources to build a university with the latest technology to improve standards and quality that will enable online learning. There will also be a sports area for Jamundi boys and girls to have a recreational space.
Here, in this beautiful lot of 25,000 meters, where the Jamudeños' dream is born to have a seat of the University of the Valley, we will also build the headquarters of the SENA.
And the Guatemalan Ministry of Foreign Affairs asked the United States to open an investigation into the death of Jacqueline Cal. The 70-year-old migrant died while in custody of U.S. border agents. The Foreign Affairs Minister also said that the documentation necessary to repatriate Jacqueline's body is ready and that she will be returned to her family in Guatemala. Honduran migrants have been violently attacked in the Mexican state of Tijuana. The attack happened on the weekend and was later confirmed by the Honduran ambassador in Mexico. And the deported migrants have protested against United States migratory policies in Mexico. Demonstrators from Mexico and Central America gathered in front of the U.S. Embassy in the Mexican capital. They protested against United States policy and demanded justice for migrants.
What is happening on the border of Tijuana gives me a feeling of solidarity. We know what it is to have to leave our countries for better opportunities, to be separated from our families and face difficult situations, such as the risk of deportation.
Donald Trump's family are migrants as well, so I don't understand why he's being so racist towards us. We only want to survive.
United States has committed billions of dollars towards development in Mexico and Central America. According to the Mexican and U.S. governments, both administrations said it's part of a plan to strengthen economic growth and curb migration in the region. The money will be allocated to existing aid programs as well as new loans and private sector support.
We want to address the underlying causes of migration so that citizens can build better lives for themselves and their families at home.
General prosecutors of 45 U.S. states have requested data on Catholic Church sexual abuse scandal in Pennsylvania. The Jesuit community from the state of Maryland disclosed the names of 89 members of the clergy accused of sexual abuse. And the United States is to withdraw its troops from Syria after declaring a so-called victory over the Islamic State. The announcement was made by the White House and no further information was given. The United States military and its allies have been fighting in Syria illegally and without the consent of Syrian government. Damascus has accused the U.S. of supporting terrorists and killing civilians. Following the announcement of the withdrawal of the U.S. troops from Syria, questions have arose about the motive. Our colleague Alina Duarte brings us the details.
The White House confirmed that the United States will withdraw its troops from Syria. However, the reason they have provided is contradictory. On the one hand, they claim to have defeated the Islamic State. Yet, on the other hand, they say the fight against terrorism will continue in Syria. Not everyone in the White House agrees with the decision to withdraw, and there is a clear division.
Time for a first break here from the South. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Telesur English and my personal account, Laura P. Telesur. Stay with us.
After the triumph of the revolution in Cuba, childhood has taken on an unparalleled social space. Documentaries Telesur presents a children's theater company opens a window for the participation of the little ones. La Colmenita, Sons and Dreams. Premiere Sunday, only on Telesur.
We are present at every event where our nations are staring. We believe in a new global vision, united in every broadcasting. We keep expanding our horizons and working on a closer and better communication. Now, in Grenada, Telesur, the news source from South America and the Caribbean.
And we are back. Evo Morales announced a new record for the country's gross domestic product, which has risen to $40.5 million, a 10% increase from last year's. The new GDP record exceeds the previous record set in 2017 and is 4.5 times the amount of the country's GDP in 2005. Morales said Bolivia's economic growth is due to the nationalization of the hydrocarbon industry back in 2006. And a Supreme Court judge in Brazil has ruled that all prisoners awaiting a ruling on their second appeal should be released. It is a decision that could affect the current prison sentence of former President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, who has been in jail on corruption charges since April. Following Judge Marco Aurelio Melo's decision, Lula's attorney have called for his immediate release, but it still isn't clear if or when the ruling can be implemented, since Melo's decision must next be considered by the full panel of the Supreme Court.
We're happy because this establishes a constitutional precedent. The session of Judge Marco Aurelio is extremely important for the Brazilian legal process and for the defense of the Constitution. We have already taken all the necessary judicial measures for the release of the former president.
And a video has emerged showing the last few seconds of the life of Mapuche leader Camilo Catrillanca before he was assassinated in Chile. Defense lawyers of the right-wing leader, Patricio Sepúlveda, handed over the video evidence to the prosecutors in Temuco. The video also shows a policeman patrolling Colipuli Road while their helicopter is hovering over the area. The footage contradicts a statement made by the head of the police, who said evidence of the police presence had been destroyed. And we are still in Chile, where port workers in the city of Valparaíso have rejected a government proposal to end their strike, which has gone on for more than 30 days. They are demanding better working conditions. Our correspondent Paola Dragnik with the update.
There are clashes happening right now between the port workers and security forces here in the city of Valparaíso. The port workers have rejected the government's proposal that would have brought their strike to an end, and then immediately began to protest. Security forces set out to repress the demonstrations straight away. That's the story of what's been happening in the past few days. It doesn't look like this is going to come to an end anytime soon. There are more massive demonstrations planned for the afternoon, and universities have offered their support to the port workers by going on strike as well.
Uruguay and China have signed technical and economic cooperation agreement to mark the 30 years of diplomatic relations. Minister of Foreign Affairs Rafael Nimnoboa said that the agreement will facilitate the exchange of knowledge and skills. China will donate more than $3 million in arts and culture.
We want to celebrate the People's Republic of China's relationship as a main trading partner of Uruguay.
Diplomatic ties with China have reached 30 years. Within the 3 decades, bilateral ties have been characterized by mutual respect, equal treatment, and mutual benefit.
And the Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales has given a 72-hour deadline to the International Commission Against Impunity to leave the country. There are 11 Commission officials left who have been investigating corruption cases in the country. Earlier this year, Morales banned the head of the Commission from entering the country, announcing that the Commission mandate would not be renewed. This after the anti-corruption body launched a series of investigations against high-level officials. The Guatemalan president and his family were part of multiple corruption investigations.
De la Organización de las Naciones Unidas para resolver este tipo de situaciones que estuvieron enmarcadas en todo momento.
And the latest with our correspondent in Guatemala, Mario Rosales.
Social organizations and 2 lawyers in Guatemala have filed 3 complaints in the Constitutional Court against the decision made by President Jimmy Morales to expel 11 researchers from the International Commission Against Impunity. They say the decision of expelling them is not legal, given the accords between the Guatemalan state and the United Nations on the creation of the commission. They say that only the chief of the organization is entitled to withdraw the immunity of these researchers, so the Guatemalan state cannot decide by itself on this matter. Now, the Constitutional Court will have to decide on the issue. The government of President Jimmy Morales has had different disputes with the Commission over the past few years.
Now to Venezuela, where the president of the National Constituent Assembly, Diosdado Cabello, denied the rumors that Russia planned to build a military base near Caracas.
I wish it were true. Not one, but 2, 3, 4, 10. It's not the Russians. We are the ones who want this country. We are the patriots who are going to defend this country in good times and in bad times.
Time for a second break. More news when we are back.
Enjoy our programming from Monday to Friday, where you'll find the best information on culture, innovation, conservation, human well-being. Keep up to date on the latest innovations in science and technology with Atomun. The habits and knowledge you need to live a healthy lifestyle are on Guide Your Body. Environmental consciousness is required to preserve our Earth. Undergo your transformation on Green Zone. All about equity, diversity, and respect for identities on By Gender. Cultural manifestations, they are in all its forms and the stories of real lives. Every day we feature a wide variety of content. Only on Telesur, the news source from Latin America and the Caribbean.
The life is full of moments. Moments of fight, moments of hope, moments that transcend, moments that you can live in. Telesur documentaries. Sundays, only on Telesur.
An occasion to enjoy the cultural diversity that defines our South American essence. Come along to find out the story behind these personalities, traditions, and artistic expressions that unite us as a whole. Real Lives. Friday. Only on Telesur.
And we are back. In the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Theresa May and leaders of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, clashed during an intense debate on Brexit in Parliament. Corbyn accused May of leading the country to a national crisis. He also criticized her for not allowing the Brexit agreement to be voted on, adding that she's wasting time instead of looking for a solution. Corbyn came under fire for offensively speaking to the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister has plunged this country into a national crisis. She refused Parliament the right to vote on her Brexit deal. She said that she did that to seek further assurances. She failed. She's now claiming that she is still seeking further assurances, while all the time running down the clock on the alternatives. So can the Prime Minister
Now let's take a look at what the British Prime Minister had to say to Corbyn.
So if rights, if he wants to fulfill the will of the referendum, to support jobs, to end free movement, to do those trade deals, to avoid no deal, then he needs to vote for this deal. He can talk all he likes about a meaningful vote. All he gives us is a meaningless position.
Now we change region. The popularity of Hamas in the Gaza Strip is increasing among Palestinians following a ceasefire agreement with Israel. More details from Egypt with Nayara Tardo.
The Palestinian Center for Politics and Research has carried out a survey revealing that Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh is worrying imperatively. That's a largely down to the victory achieved with the government of Israel. We have to remember that the ceasefire agreement had been last month. Today, the United Nations envoy for the conflict, Nikolai Andenov, denounced that no one of the internationally established standards were respected.
And just 4 days ahead of the presidential elections in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the government of the capital, Kinshasa, has banned rallies citing security reasons. Joint opposition party candidate Martin Fayulu was scheduled to hold a rally in the capital on Wednesday, but authorities prevented him from entering the city. While the party of another opposition candidate rejected the decision and said they would continue to campaign.
What is happening is that our president is blocked on the other side of the fence. The police are blocking his way. We don't need any mess. We just came to welcome our president and go with him.
Therefore, faced with an unfair decision, we, UDPS, say no. And no, we will never allow this decision. It is illegal. It violates our rights and freedoms. Therefore, we will follow the electoral calendar.
And in Uganda's border with the Democratic Republic of Congo remains on high alert as authorities increase their efforts to stop Ebola from entering. People crossing the border have to wash their hands and choose with chlorinated water before entering. They also have to have their temperatures taken for signs of fever before they are allowed to cross into Uganda. More than 300 people have died from Ebola since the Democratic Republic of Congo declared a new outbreak in August.
6 screening points at the main point of entry called Mbondwe, where we do screening, and on a daily basis, on a very busy day, we go as far as 30 people screened. Of course, we have also established other screening points. You know, our border with the DRC is so porous, and we've managed to add another 5 screening points. Besides the main point of entry, which is in Mbondwe.
And the first post-bailout budget have been approved by the Greek parliament. It includes some social measures and leaves out pension reduction. Our correspondent in Greece, Hibai Arbide, brings us the details.
Buenas tardes, saludos a toda nuestra audiencia. El Parlamento griego.
With 154 votes in favor, the 2019 budget has been approved by Parliament. All lawmakers from the Syriza government coalition voted in favor, as well as an independent member of Parliament and a center union representative. Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras said that this budget is a political success, as it does not include the pension cut that the Troika had decided on for 2019 and 2020. In August 2018, the Troika imposed a new fiscal adjustment to pensions for the 14th time. However, it has not been included in the budget because the creditors accepted the forecast set out by the Greek government, which said that the Greece economy will grow by 2.5% next year, with a GDP surplus of 3.6%, and that unemployment will drop from its current level of 18% to 16%. The opposition have said that this is the final budget to be presented by Tsipras and his government, as the right wing will win next year's elections.
And Christmas decorations are lighting up in Syria's capital, Damascus. The city is marking its first holiday season since the government regained control of most of the country. A 30-meter-high Christmas tree has been set up in the city center. The decorations are bringing light back to the capital after 7 years of civil war. With these festive images, we've come to the end of this brief, but you can read and watch much more on our website, telesurenglish.net, where of course you can find opinion articles and special interviews. Stay with Telesur, connecting the Global South. Until next time.